The allure of effervescent was stirred and spent. Flappers swayed in mystique until they got queasy in the heyday of dapper speakeasies. As gleaming dawn had shattered the mist in a Mad Hatter's Babylon teeming with hedonists. The parade of throttled splendor captured the elated as jaded vendors bottled rapture it created. In thrilling venues with distilled menus. Between wrath and sin, they poured clean bathtub gin, in somewhat of a trove from the coconut grove to New York's hub in the fabled store club. It was an alluring sort of perdition where they just ignored the reports of prohibition. Look, there were then more intoxicating omens than could have been equated with the Book of Romans. Hedy Lamarr stood steady at the bar as the orchestra serenaded a superb sup, and she related an ancient proverb that she had just made up. It was the era of soundless shows with the boundless Clara Bow, and as her famed wit unfurled, she became the original it girl. Yet, what better foreign cargo than Greta Garbo? The stars were mythical movie lot MGM productions, not just a memoir with gems and liposuction. Lo, glamour dwelled, enamored and compelled by Flo Ziegfeld, as his lovely follies always tried to dance high above melancholy's trance. The Cotton Club has begotten a kind of jazz that had traced the middle of swing to a bass fiddle string, and the improvisation born in song out of the sensational horn of Louis Armstrong. Fame's categorical paradigm became metaphorically sublime, and sometimes the flight unto new heights of audacity seemed like the colossal capacity for dreams. There was Coco Chanel, so refined, Lindbergh inclined, Amelia Earhart, Einstein's relative art, Mickey Mouse, a phone booth, Chaplin, Uncle Milt, and the house that Ruth built. The extraordinary were bound on merry-go-rounds, set ere long with no regret or remorse for a bet on the wrong horse. Yet vice had a cost for the jet set in Paradise Lost, and Gatsby's splendid autumn class campaign ended at the bottom of a glass of champagne. There was Jack Dempsey, Bobby Jones, Red Grange, Al Capone, the Bambino, and Rudolph Valentino, who sauntered into a movie frame as a waiter in a bar, and a minute later became a haunting star. The dames were painted floral, and fame was hardly acquainted with morals, for after one tease looked at Louise Brooks, the spread of modernism crossed the divide, and she was glossed hedonism personified. However, amid a sunder so grand, the marionettes and cards never got to understand that Sunset Boulevard was not Wonderland. The gravity of the plot had no reversal, and depravity thought it was just a rehearsal. Then in the aesthetic tense of what had been a poetic license, streams of consciousness had bloomed and hearkened thus, illuminating darkness, with the livid James Joyce and Virginia Woolf's vivid voice. Then every scene dripped surreal out of the pen of Eugene O'Neill, and the big screen would adore Colleen Moore, but no one starred with more elan or sway than George M. Cohan, who gave his regards to Broadway. It was Wellington Filet as Ellington played Rhapsody in Blue until it morphed into a new mode of euphoria that couldn't be subdued even at the Waldorf Astoria. The movie palaces were packed and malice was in the abstract. Big bands grooved on tour with burlesque, and J. Edgar Hoover wore a dress. The cast of decadence had no past tense, and socialites with hollow habits followed white rabbits, while folly seemed good in the beguiling dream of Hollywood. The rush to the stock market swelled in the heyday of yachts and extraordinary steeples, but not from the brush of Rockwell, who portrayed only ordinary people. Yet, thoughts of topics got kaleidoscopic in the flights of Kant and Kierkegaard, who were then in the heights of what had been avant-garde. There were astounding fables at the Algonquin Round Table, but none more resilient nor starker than the brilliant Dorothy Parker. The streams of tonic with higher vibrations were wired like electronic beams of emanations, with simmering stars of the silver screen, glimmering cars, and washing machines. Those roaring times soared into the sublime, that is, until they decomposed into the vapor of a paradigm. The sojourn of the jazz age has turned a page, and that phase is already stacked like afterthoughts in a catacomb, and those heady days are not coming back home. The jazz age span of glory was a dazzling stage, though transitory. It was the replete thrill of an enthralling bash, that is, until Wall Street crashed. The reverie of libations and every elation ended with jazz and blue. But then again, my friend, you don't have revelations. They have you. The ghost of sentimental is mostly mental, but the heart then echoed what had been Art Deco. And the ode is thus melodious. This is a journal of what they composed in those meetings, and you see, there is something eternal in what was supposed to be fleeting.